The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar today. We're going to be covering some of the new features that we've rolled out this quarter and a few from last quarter. I'm Chad Hill and I'm joined by our team in the Rochester office, including Adam. How you guys doing up there?
Great, Chad. Good afternoon. Yeah, thanks for coming, everybody. We've got a team up here in Rochester just on the afternoon, and we're excited to see what you got, Chad.
Excellent. So for an agenda today, well, this is sort of going to, as a little bit of a spoiler alert here, so we'll skip past this, but we've got a lot of cool features I want to run through today. I wanted to start off, though, with just recapping where a survey that we did earlier in the year where we asked everyone how would they prioritize our development resources, and this is what was answered earlier in the year by all of the resellers. So the first thing was better backlinks for better SEO rankings, which is not part of this presentation today, but we have continued to build out our publishing partner group, all the available sites that we have where we can get placements for your featured news articles. So that's been going very well, and also we've been seeing an increase in a better rate of new page one rankings. So we feel like we're moving right along there, and that's very exciting. Number two, and this is what we're here to talk about today, is dashboard updates with a focus on new features. And then you did ask for some changes on usability, and also eventually the number 4 here was dashboard interface and look and feel updates. So today we're going to be talking about some of the new features that we've rolled out. Let's jump right in. We've changed up the way that we have been developing inside HubShout, and it's been a really great experience. So some of the features you see today are awesome features, but I also think it's just important to stop and mention that the features are more than ever a team effort. I think in the past, maybe Adam and I would sometimes go off and collaborate and brainstorm, and we would get it right some of the time, but probably get it wrong other times. I'm not sure exactly what our hit ratio was, but we decided that it would make a lot more sense if the entire team was involved, and so all the features that we're talking about today really came out of collaboration across the company, and actually in many cases were led by other people besides Adam and myself. So it's really been a great experience to see that happen. So the first one here, wanted to highlight this. Ryan was our project manager. And Ryan, we had an outcome that we established where we said, look, we want to enhance our on-site SEO service. We want more rapid turnaround time. We want stronger ranking speeds for no missing keywords. We wanted higher customer satisfaction with content and low site errors. So that was sort of the broad objective that we had. And then one of the specific behaviors we wanted to change is we wanted to build and integrate a site auditor into our dashboard. And so let's take a look at this. I should also just mention that if you do have any questions, feel free to drop those into the questions window here, and I will pause as we go through this, and Adam can interrupt or can offer up any questions if there's points of clarification. Okay, excellent. So what we've built, again, largely team effort here led by Ryan, is a site auditor. We can actually audit up to 200 pages of your client's websites every 30 days. This feature is actually going to be rolled out across any reporting only and up campaign. So this will be included in reporting only if you have that, but it will also, of course, be in any marketing service campaign as well. It has 46 categories of issues that are broken down into errors, warnings, and notices. It does provide an overall audit score, which is basically the number of pages with an issue over the total number of pages crawled. So it gives you a little scorecard to say are things moving up in the right direction or not. And we are in alpha test right now. Our plan is to be looking at the data that it returns over the next 60 days so that we can understand how to address the feedback, right? Because I think one of the big questions is, okay, well, the auditor is now running, and it's bringing back issues, it's bringing back warnings, errors, and notices, and we need to understand which of those things are things that we can change, which ones can't we, what would the cost be, and just really get our hands around that. So it's in an alpha mode today. It's something that we're internally testing, but I want to share some of the early results and how that works. So let me see if I can get this to work. Okay, we're moving over to a live demo here, and this is for an internal just test account that we have, and you can see that it's run one time. So on this screen, you would see over time that the total list of audits in this graph below, we only have one today, but as this changes, what we'll be doing is graphing over time the total number of issues that you have. So the idea would be that if you started off with 100, over time we want to see that number go down. But for today, let's take a look at some of these issues. So if I click on the total issues, 44, or if I just want to see the errors, which tend to be the more severe things, I can click and see those 11 errors that are coming back. Again, same thing with warnings and notices. So in this case, I'm now looking at just errors, and what it's telling me is that I have 8 issues where I have a duplicate meta description. So if I want to find out where those duplicate meta descriptions are, I can click on 8, and it takes me through and shows me the pages where there's a duplicate meta description. So in this case, the way this is working is it's saying this URL, whitelabelSEOguide.net/white-label-SEO software, the title, White Label SEO Software, White Label Guide, is duplicate on 7 other pages. If I want to find those pages, I can click on the 7, and that would now show me the 7 other pages, which just so happens to be probably the other pages that crawled here, because it essentially is saying that this URL has 7 duplicates, but in this particular case, there are these 7 right here. So, or the ones that we're finding down here. So that is how that particular issue would work. And if I want to bounce back and look at the next one, I can click back to 11, and I have some 404 errors. So let's check those out. It's saying that on this page, there is a link that for whatever reason is throwing a 404. So that could be something you might want to go look at. Same thing with the sitemap here. You can go back and look at some other ones. Internal broken links, got one of those. There's a case where on this particular page, the link for target URL this is also throwing a 404 error. So we can take a look at some of the warnings here. Now you can see that those are all pretty severe. The warnings are a little less severe. So now you're into things like, well, image alt attribute. Okay, well, yeah, it's great to have an alt tag, an alt text on all of your images, but is that gonna tank your rankings if you don't? Probably not, but best practices would say, why not throw it in there? It's another opportunity to describe the content on your website, and that makes a difference. Same things with missing H1s, text to HTML ratio, which would basically probably just means that it's a kind of a thin page, so there's a lot of HTML, not much actual body text. Low word count, so you can kind of see the types of errors, the warnings, I'm sorry, that are coming back here. And then the notices are even a little bit less severe than warnings. So now we've got external links with a no-follow attribute. We've got the SEMrush bot blocked. I mean, that's not a huge issue, but obviously these are just some of the other problems that are coming up. So like I said, this would run on a monthly basis, and we're still working out internally what the workflow, so what our side of that would be. We obviously have been talked about, if there's a sudden change in the number of errors or warnings that we might want to be notified. And again, there'll probably be some things, I don't know if the goal is to ever get to 0 for total issues, because some of these things may be really hard to fix, or maybe very expensive to fix relative to the SEO value. But that can be something that you could always talk about with your account manager and make a decision on, is it worth the time to fix these things or not. And I think really one of the big feedback, some of the feedback we've seen from resellers over the last year, or actually several years, is we will often run into situations where a campaign might see its ranking start to go down, and unfortunately we'll then start to investigate that and realize that something changed on the website, and they actually had a bunch of errors. They changed the URLs, and all their links were pointing in the wrong place, and they were generating 404 errors, or they blocked their whole website because they had launched a new website and forgot to change the robots.txt. So the idea here is that if we can get ahead of those issues, then hopefully we can, one, be aware of the issues before the rankings start going down, and two, be able to get on top of that and then of course make sure that we're communicating as openly with you and you with your client as possible about the solution and the fact that we understand what we need to do to get things resolved. Any questions, Adam, from the audience?
No, the chat window's clear, Chad. This is
Okay.
good so far.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so I'll continue on. Okay, so the next one, this is also, I think, spearheaded by Ryan, was our 404 deep link checker. And the situation we were trying to address here was that we all agree on a target URL for link building, and then something happens and the client changes and doesn't notify HubShout. Maybe you do it and forget to tell us, or maybe the client does it and doesn't tell you. But in either case, we're now building links to a page that no longer exists. And there again, there's nothing worse than realizing a month or two down the road that, hey, we just built a bunch of links to a page that's gone because it's not good. Obviously, it's the rankings aren't going to improve, and the client, it doesn't make anybody look good. So the solution for this is we wanted to build an automated process that would routinely check all of the target URLs and notify the AM of any issues. So we launched the deep link checker, and what the deep link checker does is on your campaign details screen, so under admin, if you click into any of the campaigns you see, and then you click on the tab for advanced, you will see this section up here on the right for deep links. And what this is, again, is the pages that we have identified that we're going to be building links to, and typically those are associated with target keywords. And so every day our system is checking those URLs to make sure that they are actually active. And if they, for whatever reason, the status changed and it's not available, whether it's a 500 not available or a 404, basically we will open up a task for the account manager to investigate. And so this is a great safeguard because it allows us to be, again, proactive and find out early on in the process when there's an issue with the website. And also it'll help us catch even the fact that your client's website's down, which will be of service to you in many cases. So again, this is live. This is something that's actually been out for a few months now, and we're monitoring those links on a daily basis to make sure that they are up and running. Okay, on to the next section here. We want to talk about call tracking, and we've got several contributors to this section that we're going to be talking about today. Ryan's also involved in this one. We've got, and then Jeff and Chris from our account management team have helped us provide input and help us define some of the requirements that are in these features, and in some cases actually brought the feature up as something needed to happen. So in general, call tracking is definitely one of our more frequently used services, but we have gotten feedback that people want to do more. Better screening of calls, deleting bad numbers, and exporting data are all things that people are interested in, resellers are interested in. So let's take a look at what we've developed there. The first one is PPC auto disposition. That's a scary title, but here's what happens. So in the PPC, with our PPC services, our performance scores are based on web leads and phone calls. And in some cases, there are times where we might see a very high score for PPC analysts, but it could be because there's a lot of duplicate phone calls, either very short phone calls or the same person calling in a couple times. So what we wanted to do was to, and I should say that in many cases, our PPC analysts were going in and trying to manually screen this to mark good and bad calls. But as you can imagine, it's sometimes hard. It's maybe easy to catch the short calls, but sometimes to go back through a list and find a caller who called yesterday and the day before yesterday and the day before yesterday amongst a bunch of other calls is a little bit more difficult. So we said, let's solve this with technology. And what we did is we made it, Ryan and the PPC team wrote up some requirements on how we could evaluate each call and figure out how to mark things good or bad. So right now, the way this works is that if there is a duplicate number or in the last 30 days, or if a phone call is less than 30 seconds, it will be automatically marked bad. And I have a screenshot here on the right that sort of gives you an example of how this looks. Now I filtered it because there were a ton of calls that we were looking at, but what I what this is showing is that this particular client or prospect called in on July 27th, had a very long call, and then called back again on the 3rd, and then again on the 15th, and on the 17th. Okay, so rather than counting that as 4 leads, it now will just count as 1. These other phone calls would be marked bad. Now, just remember, when we say a phone call is good or bad, we're really looking at it from the sales standpoint. Is this call a new lead to the business or not? And so if marking a call bad may be a completely valid customer service call, but we just aren't going to count that as a new prospect. Okay, great. So a couple other points on this. One is that today this is only happening for phone numbers that are associated as a PPC medium. So when you set up a phone call or set up a phone number, you have the ability to select the medium. So if it's selected as web PPC, then this will be triggering. So organic phone numbers, other phone numbers are not doing this today. It could be something that if there's enough demand and interest in us doing this across the board for all calls, we could certainly entertain that request, but today this is just for web PPC calls. Okay, on to the next new feature. This is the bad number check. Actually, I believe Jeff was on our team, was one of the people who really spearheaded this effort, helping define some of the requirements along with Ryan. And in this particular case, what we did is we were looking, the issue here was that resellers were seeing many short calls from robo-dialers or other issues. And the solution was notify an AM when a number has short calls more than 50% of the time. So this particular process runs every day, every weekday, and it will be looking at the last week, and any call that's less than 7 seconds will be considered a short call. And so if you have a phone number that for whatever reason has been caught up on one of the robo-dialer issues that we see a lot of, then this will notify you. And I guess the specific issue we were seeing is that there were cases where those robo-dialers don't ever hang up. They just, if they think you're on the phone and listening, they just keep talking and talking and talking. So we were seeing some really long phone calls and recordings, and obviously that was in some cases costing resellers money that didn't make sense to spend. So this will now flag those numbers, and typically if that's happening on a number, we can just delete that number and then get you a new number, and usually it will resolve the situation, and that's what we've been doing. Okay. On to the next feature. The next feature is GA events for phone calls. So the issue here was that resellers we had a few resellers asking us to be able to use our call tracking, but wanted to be able to create events in Google Analytics because they wanted to use Google Analytics as their primary spot for all their data. So they wanted all their traffic data, lead form conversion data, as well as phone calls, all in Google Analytics. And what we did here is we built a feature that allows you to add your Google Analytics UA code into the dashboard, and then what will happen is when you make a phone call, it will call over to Google Analytics and create an event for that particular that phone call. And it won't provide the specific number of the person, but we can send across the label of the phone number, which is something in the dashboard. We can also send across the medium, which are what we see here in the Google Analytics at the bottom of the screen. This is a look at all of the events created based on medium. And then we can also, it's the label of the phone number and it's the medium. Both of those things get sent over, and you can toggle to look at the data aggregated by one or the other. And again, this is something, all you have to do is go to the setup screen under the sales tab, and then under GA events, just turn it on or put your number in, put your UA code in and turn it on, and this will start happening automatically. Now, if you want to turn these events into goals, you will need to go into Google Analytics and then create a goal. And inside the goal creation process, there's a way to say use events to create goals. All right, one more thing on call tracking. This wasn't on the initial agenda, but I did want to let people know this is coming. Kyle, who is on our web development group and handles a lot of the on-site implementations, has run into, over the last year or so probably, many cases where the phone script is difficult to install on a particular client's website and maybe doesn't handle all of the situations based on the way they've built the website. So he has been working on modifying and tweaking the phone script to handle these different exceptions over for many months. And what he's done with this particular new feature is that he's put those all together, and we've rewritten the phone script so that it will be more, I guess, resilient and a little lighter, meaning the script will be a little shorter, so that it will be more flexible for today's websites. And this is something that we're testing today, or in test on right now. So if this is something that does, we are able to make sure everything's tested out properly, it will become the new default phone script. Now we'll make sure that all of the legacy phone scripts that are already on people's websites won't break. Those will still exist and continue to work as is. But anybody using the new phone script will enjoy some of these new the new features that I guess the new flexibility and ease of setup that this offers. Quiet audience today, huh, Adam?
It is extremely quiet out there. I've been chatting it up, trying to solicit questions. So if you have any, let me know.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, this must be what everybody was waiting for then. So on to Zapier. I probably need to figure out how to say it for sure. But so one of the things that we've heard people ask for certainly over the years in different forms, but people have asked to be able to move data in and out of the HubShout dashboard. And most resellers don't have in-house dev teams for custom integration. So people have said, hey, I want to integrate with your platform, and usually that's a fairly onerous process. But really, Zapier has stepped into that situation for a lot of small businesses, because they now have allowed people to integrate to their standard, so you can build an API to Zapier, which then other applications can plug into. And of course, it also will allow HubShout to, talked about like opening it up to the sort of the marketing tech ecosystem out there. I mean, there are now different software point solutions for just about anything you can possibly imagine. And what Zapier does is allow people to move the data around to the different platforms without having to hire a development team to do it. So I want to talk about what we're doing today with Zapier, what's in beta right now, and then I have a quick poll I wanted to throw up here to see if people had some other ideas on where we should go spend, what features they would be looking for next. Okay, so Zapier, the beta implementation is for sales lead data, and we have two different options for you. We have export leads from HubShout to Zapier, and this is actually called a trigger. So basically, we have a trigger set up so that when there is a new HubShout lead added through our web to lead form, it will trigger a call to Zapier to actually then push that data to whatever other platform you want. I have used it and played around with, for example, if I wanted to, for those of you who use Slack, or maybe even some other project management tools, you can create a Zap that will actually send out a Slack notification. So I have it set up right now on my system here, so that when there's a new lead to HubShout, it sends a note over to Slack, and I can see that, oh, we have a new lead, and I can click on the link and see where they're coming in from. So it's nice. Ultimately, Slack, I think, in my experience, is that it's just a different form of email. It allows you to organize things a little bit more by channel, and so, but it's nice because all the leads are in one place and they're all a click away. So that's one way to use the data now. Another example might be if you did want to, for example, if you were using the HubShout lead form and you wanted to automatically add new leads to a MailChimp or Constant Contact, that would be another example where you would automatically, when there's a new lead added into HubShout, you would trigger Zapier, and then the action would be to go add that email address to Constant Contact or whatever other mail platform you're using that is integrated with Zapier. So that's one example. The other feature that we've developed is the ability to import leads from Zapier to HubShout. So in this case, this is considered an action. So you're triggering from another platform, and then the action is add it to HubShout. And the use case that we've set up, and I'm going to demonstrate to you right now, is with the VetHub's website. So let's take a look at this really fast. Okay, so I went in and I added a gravity form to the VetHub's website, and I made it really long. So try to go fast. Let's put a bunch of test data in here. Okay, that should be enough. Okay, so if I now submit this, what's going to happen is that is going to, the gravity form handles the form submission as it would in any other WordPress implementation. So you can set up notification, do whatever you want in gravity forms. But at the same time that we submitted that, it also called over and sent that data to Zapier. And then I have a Zap set up so that in our sales tab, this is one of those live demos, so hopefully this is here. Plug it in for today. And there's my lead right there. So I just submitted that lead, Tesco, Chad Hill, and that information came in. So that's an example of an example of a lead that would come in through Zapier, and that's how that works. Any questions on that one? Cool. Okay, well, the next thing I want to do, this is going to force some audience participation, so hopefully we get some people to participate here. I'm going to ask where they would like to see us go next with Zapier, because we can basically, every implementation or every piece of data that we want to move in or out of HubShout has to be its own little project. And so what we're looking for is just where would people want to see this? And I'm going to give you, before I put the poll up, but for example, with tasks, we could, I know many people out there use Basecamp or they use Teamwork or different platforms. So, you know, one of the things that we could do is, for example, when a task went into review pending client, instead of emailing you that, we could automatically post that particular, you could have that information go into a Basecamp project or into a Slack channel or into a Teamwork spot. So there are some ways that we could just simplify communication to let you know that something needs your attention. That's one example. Or we could, for example, with new content, when a new article or featured news goes out, we could maybe create an event where that triggered some other notification, or you could add that to a database somewhere else if you wanted to keep track of it. So there's other things we could do there to notify you when information new is changing in the system. So I'm going to put a poll right now. It should be popping up on your screen right now. Just like to know where you think we should go next. Do you guys see the poll?
We see it, Jeff.
Okay, great. Okay, we'll give it another, that's been 30 seconds, we'll get another 15 seconds here. Okay, cool. So I will close that poll. I'll just read back the results. So I don't know if you guys can see them. I don't think you can. So the responses here were 50% said tasks, And so this was a multiple choice. You could pick more than one thing, but of the responses, 50% of people said they wanted tasks, 36% said SEO ranking data, 27% SEO content, and 9% said SEO links, and 18% said phone calls. So thank you very much. That's a good thing to know and can help us go pick where we go next with this. All right, let's see here. So that's pretty much it. I wanted to end this today with, first of all, if there's any questions, please feel free to ask them now. Be happy to answer anything you want. But I also did just want to plug our account management survey. We sent out some notifications, and many of your account managers will probably mention this to you in your monthly phone calls or weekly phone calls with them. But this is really valuable. We really want to know where you want us to be spending account management time. There's a lot of questions internally about, is the best place to spend it on just digging deep into the campaigns, or should we really be helping you with sales? So we really want your feedback. So there is a link to the survey that I posted in the group chat, and I'm just going to post it again, although it's actually right there. So can everyone see that? Just if you can, just ping back a 1 or something like that. Can people see the link that was in the chat window? Just in case they can't, I'm just gonna drop it in one more time. Okay, so I dropped it in there one more time. Hopefully everyone sees that. And again, we'd really appreciate your response, and we definitely value your opinion. So that's all we have for today. Adam, any final questions or thoughts that you have before we end this?
I just want to really appreciate Ryan and Jeff and Chris and Kyle for their involvement in these releases. It's been really a bunch of cool projects, and I've really enjoyed working with the team and hearing all the feedback. And I also encourage you guys all to take the survey. I did see the link there, Chad. So please click on that and give us more of your feedback so we can continue to evolve our reseller program to be the best in the world.
Excellent. Well, as always, this webinar has been recorded. We will post it on the website tomorrow. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your account manager or to the 4 p.m. training session. And we look forward to talking to you next time. Thank you.